What to do if a guy doesn't know if he wants kids or not. Let's talk about it. All right, this is a tricky topic that I've had to film a couple of times just to articulate my thoughts, because in your 20s, it really isn't a problem. I mean, you as women probably don't even know if you want kids or not, or how many. So let alone expecting a guy to know if he wants kids or not, especially when men tend to have more time anyway because of the way they're biologically built. But what if you're in your 30s, your prime baby making years, and you're dating a guy and he says he doesn't really know if he wants kids or not? That's a tricky one to navigate. So let's start from the beginning and start with your values. So should you stay or should you leave? I mean, those are two options, right? I think it really depends on where you value having a family and having babies. Do you value having children over a long-lasting, solid relationship with someone who doesn't want to have babies? So start there. Are babies an absolute deal breaker? If it is a deal breaker, then here are some things that you should probably implement. So number one is to have lots of discussions with your partner, just calm ones. It doesn't have to be like aggressive, or it doesn't have to be conflict riddled. Just to have conversations about where they're at. Maybe it's conversations about their hesitations about being a parent, maybe talking about timelines. So maybe they're not ready for a baby now. Would they be ready in 5 years' time? And what would that look like for you? So if you're in your late 30s and your man doesn't want to have babies till 5 years later, maybe you can start talking about freezing your eggs or freezing your embryos. So figure out his timeline, his hesitations towards having a baby, and suss out whether or not his decision or his hesitations will ever change. If having a baby is a deal breaker for you, you need to suss that out, because if there's no chance that this guy is going to want to have babies, maybe he's had a surgery done that prevents him from having babies. If you find out all this now, then it's easier to just move on and meet someone who might have more compatible values than you do, especially if having babies is your deal breaker. So that's really important, because you as much as you love this person, making a baby trumps your relationship, trumps everything. So finding out early will cause you less stress in the end. You know, imagine being with somebody for 5 years, and for 5 years straight they're telling you that they don't want to have a baby, or there's probably very, very little chance they'll want to have a baby, and you're kind of just holding out, waiting for them to change their mind. That's 5 years gone, especially if you're dead set on having a baby. If having a baby is not at the top of your priority list, not a deal breaker for you, then you have a little bit of room. You've got a little bit of time as well. For some women, they would rather be in a happy relationship with the person that they love than to have a baby. Or they could find other means, other ways of creating that family that they value. If a guy decides that he doesn't want to have a baby, but she still wants a family, then there's room on the table to discuss, well, what does a family look like? It doesn't have to be a human baby. Maybe they get a dog, and that's a family unit right there. So there's a lot more leeway to discuss what a family looks like, especially if the woman doesn't want kids.